Welcome to the KickStart Your Coaching Edge podcast, where it's all about getting real around all things coaching.
And what we know for sure is that what got you here won't get you there.
You can't see the spinach in your own teeth.
And finally, hang on, because this one's really deep. Once you realize that you are the traffic, everything makes complete and unadulterated sense.
We are back. It is the threesome in the house. We are. So Karen, why don't you go ahead and do introductions and we'll jump right in.
I would be happy to do introductions. And today we have, with Jen and I, we have my amazing niece, Jacqueline Snyder, who has been working with us at KickStart Your Edge. And you might have heard her on our last podcast. And if you didn't, you should go back and listen to it. But you might have heard her on our last podcast when we talked about left brain and right brain. Today, Jacqueline is going to share a few more things she learned as an intern for KickStart Your Edge, working on her capstone project.
Well, it's so hard to consolidate everything that I've learned, but for the sake of this podcast and for you guys, I will. And I guess the next big thing for me was just the importance of T-FAR in my life and everyone's life, if you think about it, and also MSU, because I probably have a master's degree from there, but we're working on it. And it's definitely gotten better. We're now making good stuff up, but I was very fascinated by the two of those as well.
It was funny. Jacqueline, at one of the times Karen got off the phone with you and she said, Jacqueline just said, everybody must know this stuff. How do we make sure everybody in the world understands what this is all about? So for the T-FAR, it's your thoughts create your feelings create your actions, and your actions create your results. It is how we just basically, it's the foundation for how we run our life, right? MSU is that we make shit up. So it is about that often we will attach meaning or interpretations to stories or our own actions or other people's actions. And we start to build up a story that is built out of fiction, not fact. And it will change the way we interact, we relate with people, etc. So those are two, the things at the highest level. So Jacqueline, let me ask you this. So when it comes to T-FAR specifically, how have you applied that into your own life?
Well, I think as I kind of look back on my life, I mean, it's literally only been 17 years so far, but
way back when.
But also when I look around too, I feel like when thinking about where we are, you kind of think of oh, all this stuff happened. As opposed to thinking yes, there were outside factors, but in the end, I control, I'm responsible for why I'm where I am right now. And I just feel like that was a really cool way to look at the present, but also the future going forward, how you really do have control about that. Yes, things happen that we can't control and maybe that throws us off a little bit. But if you have your thoughts, and if you can control your thoughts, then you can control your feelings, which will generate actions that will create a result that will most likely benefit you. So I just thought I was really intrigued by how if you really thoughtfully can control that, then you can get the results you want. And also I know you guys talk about a lot working from the inside out. So it just reminds me of you're really not going to get that far if you're just trying to seek a result with it, by solely seeking that result. So I just thought T-FAR was a really cool way to kind of work backwards. And especially for me right now, with my first college preseason around the corner, I know we talked about this on the phone, Kaka, but it was really easy for me to just think about, oh my God, I have fitness tests. I'm going to fail. Oh my God, also MSU, to tie that in. But it was so easy to be oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. And then I get nervous and then I freak out. And then I'm just I'm not getting any like beneficial results from that. Whereas if I think about, okay, I have fitness tests in 2 months. Okay, maybe I'm a little anxious, but I'm also excited to like have my first preseason and I feel motivated to succeed. So then I'm going to go out and run and then maybe I'll pass.
I love that, Jacqueline, because what I heard there, especially in the last one, is there's 2 different emotions you could pull upon. We have, I'm a little bit nervous and I'm also excited, right? So in that moment, both of those are true. It's where your thoughts go that will pull the one that will carry you forward. So what I heard there is I could focus on being nervous or I could focus on excitement. And if I use excitement, then all of a sudden I'm going to go do the action that is going to get me closer to the result. So that's such a great example because there's so much where we spend our energy, whatever we spend our energy thinking about is what we bring about. So if we have that thought of being able to say, you know what, I'm going to give it my all, or I'm going to rock this, or I know for a fact I'm going to dominate in this particular part of the fitness test. I'm just making stuff up right now. I don't really know. Versus what if I fail? What if I don't pass? What if I'm not as fast as the other girls? What if? Then all of a sudden, if we can channel our energy towards the result that we want, that's where all the power is. And I do love that a lot of times we act as if life has happened to us. Sometimes we get amazement. Sometimes we get crap, but it's then how do we process and what do we work through with our T-FAR to be able to manage and navigate the storm or the uncertainty or the things that we weren't expecting so that we can turn those into what it is we really want. What do you think, Kara?
So while Jacqueline was talking, it made me think of that she's mindful now of thinking about what she's thinking versus overthinking. And there's a huge difference between overthinking and paying attention to what you're thinking. Because what you said now, Jacqueline, if you're paying attention to what you're thinking, then you can change what you're thinking, right? And as long as you're paying attention to what you're thinking, then you can change how you're feeling. Then you can change what you're doing. Then you change the result. But so often before we started having some of these conversations, Jacqueline and I were talking about, sometimes you just get stuck in the action, result spot. And the only way to get out of that is to kind of take a step back and say, all right, what am I thinking here? And it brings you from a place to being reactive and just doing things to saying, okay, how do I want to feel? How do I want to respond? How do I want to do things? And it's really important because once you can think about what you're thinking in a really mindful way, then you can change it, right? This is the game changer with T-FAR. You change your thoughts, you change your feelings, you change your actions, you change your result, you change your world. And another thing, Jacqueline, what you were saying, and Jen, you brought this up a little bit too with the what ifs. And like the what ifs take you on that crazy train. It's about focusing then on actually what is. And the great part about asking yourself the question of what is, followed by, okay, what is it that I actually have control over? And the great part about that is you have 100% control all the time over what you're thinking.
I love it. So let me ask you this, Jacqueline. You're going off to college in the fall. If you were to think about your freshman year, what feeling do you want to have the most at school?
Okay, now that I'm thinking through my thoughts,
right?
Probably excitement. And if I hadn't interned with you guys, right now I would probably just be extremely nervous and anxious. But now that I'm realizing that I don't have any control over my freshman year yet, but I can prepare myself for that, it's really just excitement. I'm going to miss my family, but
but let's go.
and just so you know, your family will miss you too. But hey, this is all part of an exciting life that you're embarking on.
I think you're going to need to walk my mom through T-FAR when I leave for college.
100%, Jacqueline. We will be a T-FAR hotline to be able to help with that, right? So that's awesome. I love it. All right, you guys, on that note, we got to wrap it up. Great talking, and we will talk to everybody soon. Bye.
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 Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast. Craving more in-depth discussions? Check out the Get Real Inner Circle with our no BS in-crowd of coaches.
Join live coaching discussions, breakdowns of coaching calls, and have some fun while you're at it.
You're going to want to go to kickstartyouredge.com/inner circle. It's time to get real.